are building, you're getting your first 100 customers. We have Ajay Rungta here, who is our mentor for today, who's going to be taking this session. But just before we begin, wishing everyone a very, very happy National Startup Day. This is a very perfect timing, and this is a great time to kind of do this webinar and talk a little bit about NSRCEL's Launchpad program, which does help idea stage startups like yourself. So what is Launchpad? Launchpad is NSRCEL's idea stage incubation program. It is a fast-paced, highly interactive 100-day immersion. As a venture and as a founder, you get coached by renowned mentors, leverage the expertise of NSRCEL's alumni. You learn Entrepreneurship 101 through a lot of experiential workshops and resources curated by NSRCEL as well as IMB. You build a network of like-minded founders who are on a similar journey as you, and you become a lifelong member of the NSRCEL alumni community. And this is a great place for you to kick off your ventures journey. Talking a little bit about what the 3 months of the program for NSRCEL look like. If you could have the next slide, please. Yes. So we begin right now with outreach. Our applications are live, so we're hoping to see a lot of you apply to the program. Applications are live right now. So we begin with the screening process where we have Launchpad mentors, including Ajay, who kind of review and select a few about 20 to 25 startups to be a part of the cohort. Through the 3 months, the sessions are structured in a way to kind of help you slowly, gradually build the foundations for your venture. Begins with need analysis, understanding your value proposition, goal setting, beginning of anchor mentoring. Moving on to month 2, where you learn a little bit about go-to-market strategy, you go through the design thinking process. There's a lot of foundational knowledge building as well as legal and need-based mentoring support given to you. And we close the program with understandings on business model canvas, achieving your product market fit, sessions on business development, and an end review where all of you present your progress that you've made through the program. Post which, once you become alumni of NSRCEL, there are multiple other opportunities through alumni engagement, events, investor grant connects, as well as other NSRCEL incubation support that is offered to you as you become alumni. Before we begin the program, before we begin the session today, would just like to tell you that the Q&A section is dedicated right here for any and every question that you have. We have the NSRCEL team as well as myself here to answer your questions as and when they come in. We don't have the unmute feature available. Use the Q&A section for any questions that you might have, and we'll get to that. Going into now starting to actually begin our session for today. So I would like to introduce Ajay Rungta here to all of you. He is a resident of Bangalore and he boasts an educational background from BITS Pilani. He's worked at Infosys and served as the ex-founding engineer for Practo before he transitioned into a diverse role as a solopreneur. He is a techie, a mentor, and an advisor. And Ajay loves to actively contribute to various tech projects, hiring initiatives, services, and he's earned a reputation as a super connector. As an angel and a social investor, his commitment extends to impactful ventures such as Rangde and Gunj. And with his mentoring roles at institutions like NSRCEL, as well as PIEDS at BITS Pilani, he's deeply engaged with fostering innovation and entrepreneurship and furthering this, the cause for the country. Ajay, thank you so much for taking our time to do this very exciting, getting your first 100 customers session for all these founders and aspiring founders. Over to you.
Thank you, Gauri. I'll just present. Good evening, everyone. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, Mr. Chan.
Right. Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Very excited to talk to you about getting your first 100 customers, especially on the National Startup Day. There cannot be a better day to do this session. And somewhere, as we understand, I mean, startup and in India has grown multifolds over the last 10-15 years. And good that we also now have a startup day in place where we can actually talk about it and share experiences. I do know a lot of people are doing sessions today on the auspicious day. So I'll move on from here. Uh, Quickly coming, I'm sure the intro is already done, so I'll move on from this. First thing first, I think I'll put on some disclaimers because this is a topic which is difficult to cover in a session like this as such. But I would say that there's no one single way or a strategy to get your first customers. If you may understand also that whatever I'm going to talk is not just something new. I'll tell you as such. If you go find Google literature, even ChatGPT bar these days, and just put out topic, and you'll find most of the things out there. Uh, from the likes of Y Combinator or Indian startups, there are a hell lot of videos, articles, reports talking about how to go about it. Right. The third point which I want to make sure is that GAN is available everywhere, as I was talking. But the main thing is to how to take that first step and implement. And lastly, when I understand a lot of founders don't talk about this, that I have this idea, should I share, talk, and not. But ultimately, it is what matters is the execution and not the idea per se, because everywhere the ideas are always there, and we have seen startups with similar ideas coming into our lives, and then some are shut down and some are still there, right? So, I mean, for a startup to be successful, there are what thousands of reasons for it to be successful, and so don't reserve your idea, just execute, right? So. And lastly, I think I mean, from this talk, if you find just one takeaway, at least if one takeaway, then just go ahead and work towards it. Don't wait that, okay, oh, this was just I mean repetitive of what I have already learned, seen, but we all know all of these, right? It's primarily to implement it, to take that first step, and then and incorporate that one thing which I learned into our practice. Okay, so over to the poll. I think we can quickly check with people to understand the 148 participants, which I see right now, what where they belong to. So idea is to just know who are the people who, I mean, about you, primarily team, if we can run the poll right away. And yeah, the first question is about backgrounds. If you're a founder, investor, corporate, aspiring founder, if none of them matches, you can at least put aspiring founder, I'm sure. Uh, so right now I have a lot of founders here and aspiring founders here. Good. So the poll, I'm almost at 100 count. There's still 30% people pending to do. Just go ahead and give your poll if you are somewhere where nobody's seeing you. So if you just take the opportunity to vote, right? 75%, which is very good in terms of when we look at our national polls or state polls. Last 35 people are still left. We have few more seconds to take the poll, but I think I have the sense now. There are hardly any investors, just two out of total, and then few corporate guys. But majority either they are founders and aspiring founders. I think this is okay to understand. I think we can end the poll and move to the next one. Take 5 more seconds. One, two, three, four, five. I think we could move the second question. This is fine. This gives a very good sense of who the people are. So, team, I think we can move to the second poll. And the second poll is very simple. Primarily, which sector you belong to, so that we understand the healthy mix of people here. There are B2B, B2C, and both. The all the three numbers are moving fast, and the both is winning right now. So I can tell you the view is different. The thought is different here because uh, team told me primarily it is going to be mostly B2C, but I think we have won 14 votes already in, I mean, 75% participation, and both are 50%, and then B2C and then B2B. So think we can take another 10 seconds and then close the poll so that we move ahead. Team, I think we are good to close the poll. I think I get. Okay, so primarily, there are hardly any investors or corporate guys. They're mostly either founders or aspiring founders, and uh, a majority is 40% or 50% more than both. So if we go back and so this is fine, and sector is 54% in B2B and B2C. So let's move ahead. I think this is fine. Thank you, everyone. This gives a sense of who are here, whom I'm talking to. So we'll move ahead. I think I'll have to add certain more points based on the people here. Okay, so the first thing, obviously, what is the importance of first 100 customers, right? And now, though the topic is 100 customers, we also need to understand that this number can vary based on if you're B2B or B2C. I mean, if you are doing for B2B 100 customers, then definitely you're at scale and not at first 100 in terms of the early stage. So the numbers vary primarily. For B2C, obviously, this is just the beginning, right? So few things why it is important to have these first customers and what value they bring. Okay, just to repeat what Gauri said earlier, if you have any questions, just write on the chat Q&A section, and team will pick it up, and then we'll take some time to answer these. So primarily, getting the first customers help in validation that what you are building is important. There's someone who find value in what you offer, and that is the most important thing, right? Because what you are building, if there's no one who sees value, then what is the point any which way, right? So if you are able to get some customers, it helps in validation. There's a social proof and it attracts further interest, right? So in a way, every customer you sign up will make your thesis more strong, will make you more excited, and will attract more people, whether it is yeah, I mean, even to the extent whether it is your first few team members, to your well-wishers, to people who show keen interest, to even eventually investors, right? So validation is one point. Second point is feedback, and feedback is something which we are going to talk about a lot because it is the feedback which matters. It is the people who are going to use it and their feedback, and you iterate and then you build again. So that's primarily the thing which we'll anyway talk about tomorrow. So you learn about needs and preferences firsthand as you sign up these few early customers, and then uh, talk to them and find out what their needs are, and then what they fear about or what they would not want to sign up for. It is helpful to talk to them, take feedback, and iterate on a product, because that's how it is. If you think I have this idea, I'll build this super hit product, and then it will just sell, is not going to work out, right? So it has to be finding your customer, find that person who will buy it, and then keep on improving after iterations. So it helps in iterating. And third is it also helps in identifying your pain points, improve features, and as you will move ahead, you will know that sometime you might have to pivot, and it is okay to pivot. A lot of people don't, I mean, initial early founders think that, oh, pivot, if I'm pivoting, it is bad, but it is not. It is primarily to see that where you started and where you'll end up selling a product can vary, and that is okay. We've seen people now getting into these cohorts, and then the the team tell them, I mean, drill down on their idea, and then eventually they end up pivoting from the original idea itself within a matter of 2-3 months, and then find their ideal customer, and then keep on iterating till they find that market fit. So validation and feedback. The third point is community, because you're talking to your prospective customers early on, and keep on going to them. You build a community of brand ambassadors, because these are the people who will be the first people using your product, and they will help you attract other people and build a strong community. And it's primarily about taking your customers along. If you don't take your customers along, no one else is going to talk about your product any which way. So validation, feedback, and building a community. Now, this is a question I think, so a webinar kind of session I hate because I don't get to see people. But let's see if we can quickly write on chat and take your time. What is at stake when you build a startup? I would urge all the people here to at least share some of the reasons you think is at stake for building a startup. So I'll pause for a few seconds to see. I don't see anyone typing. People can type, right? Don't go to Q&A, but go to chat is disabled. Can we enable chat? No, no. Let me check with the team. Can we chat is
Chat
disabled?
should be enabled now. Yeah.
Okay, chat is stable now. Don't put on Q&A, but on chat, right? Perfect. Okay, so money, Nilekha says money, okay, opportunity cost, time, make money, idea, capital, time, reputation, time, mental health, yes. Opportunity cost, money, brand image, risk versus reward, current is career trajectory, career, time, and money, time and money, and time, reputation, motivation, everything, psychological, safety, credibility, money, brand, reputation, credibility, time, moment. Okay, so uh, the two, I mean, I get four keywords primarily, but okay, solve a problem, fill a gap, success of your idea or product. So, okay. So, okay, family, friends, time, judgment, money. Okay, thank you guys. I understand. So if I have to take make a graph out of it, and I find two things predominant here, which is time and money, and that's what it is primarily. I mean, everything else, if you think that it is brand, it is your reputation, it is your, I mean, mental health is something which is very unique proposition here, a reason for being something at stake, but that primarily depends on uh, how you do in your life. I do have some personal advice at the end of the presentation about it, but when people have also put brand image here, career trajectory, reputation, I mean, credibility. See, ultimately, to all those points, I would just say that it is, if you think, look at the mirror, and it is within you that whether they all matter or not. But in the capitalist world, money is obviously one major factor, and time, because we'll all run out of it someday, right? So time and money, and we all know how important they are. So if you're building a startup, and if you don't invest these two things primarily, now you can say that I don't have money, but there are people who will bring that along if you build right, but you'll have to give time, right? So I'll stop at it and not look at chat for some time and move on from here. So time and money is primarily two factors. Rest all come along, right? Whether it is people, whether it is investors, to customers, to brand reputation, marketing. I mean, when we look at startup, their keywords are, I mean, non-stop. If I was about to create a map of it and then left, because then everything, right from mental health, as someone pointed out, to your family, friends, your peers, to your seniors, juniors, school, college, your upbringing, to even how you look at life, everything matters. And so while you spend time on a lot of other things as well, do make it a point that you will run out of time if you don't do it now. And it is not about doing it now primarily, but whenever you start, you will have to give due diligence to time. And money is obviously important because we are not in the world of barter system anymore. And someone will bring money if you don't have, especially if you are building right. So I'll move on from here and see uh, why why it is important, and how do you go about acquiring the first customers, right? Now this slide has a lot of keywords, and I'll just quickly jump to it and see if you resonate with what I'm going to say. Okay, so first thing first, why are we here, right? If you think of it, we are here to sell, right? Primarily that sell something. Now sell what is, initially you just have an idea as a founder, as a aspiring founder, you just have an idea and you don't know how to sell. Now, to sell, you will need a product. And to sell a product, you need a user. Now, I mean, so far so good. But the moment you find a user, then you'll have to understand user pain points. So if you just, I mean, I've not made it very complicated, just one line each, and I'll cover everything here. And if you just think of it now or later, this is the key to, making a startup success in a way. Beyond, pre-scale, right now, as we understand in the early customers, right? So if I go back, sell, we are here to sell. Sell right now, just have an idea. I'll need a product. I'll need a user who can buy this product. And then I need to understand the pain points of the user. What comes next is I might be able to find some surveys, reports about the industry I'm trying to figure out to solve for the pain points. People would have done something in the past, and there are some reports, and I could leverage that to see if there is the answer to what I'm looking for. If not, and even if you find, you should be interviewing these users. Once you interview these users, what you will find? You will find, to interview these users, you'll have to then go to your network and then see who are the people whom I can talk to and leverage, and then understand what pain point do they have. Now, what comes next is, as you are able to interview and find their pain points, you might end up creating a prototype. And once you create a prototype, you'll go back to these users again, these prospective customers, and ask for their feedback. Is there anything they like, or is there anything they don't like? Now, the beauty of this is that as you keep on going, talking to more such people, you will understand whether they are your ideal customer profile. Are you solving for them? Do you have enough understanding of their pain points, which you'll be able to solve for? And slowly, as you talk to more people, you will know, okay, this particular person is my ideal customer profile. And you might end up finding multiple such users or profiles such as such, but initially you'll have to pick for one customer profile or persona, and then solve for it, right? So you'll take feedback. What will you do with the feedback? You'll refine your product. Whatever prototype you have built, you'll refine it. And then the same thing you will keep on doing. You'll create the prototype, take the feedback, refine, and iterate. And the cycle continues till you hit a point where, and so one more point is, as you keep on going to these people, you will make them friends. They'll be your well-wishers to tell you, okay, this till now I understand it, but I don't know if I'm still ready to pay for your product. And eventually, when you will be able to sell your product, these people are the ones who will be your brand ambassadors, right? Now, there will be a point while doing all of these is where someone will say, can I buy? Can you give me a login to your product? Can you give me this product? And I would want to try in my office or at my home or like that. And if you do all of these, right, quickly, if I just jump through it, sell idea, obviously I cannot sell an idea. People do sell an idea, but you'll have to eventually build a product, find the user for it, find the pain points, find the pain points through reports, interview them, find these people through your network, build a prototype, take the feedback, refine your product, iterate, keep on doing it, make them friends, and then eventually find whether they are ready to buy or not. Now, if you think of just this steps is what makes your product somewhere ready for the people to buy. And these are, it sounds simple, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of iteration, a lot of back and forth, running after people for their time, and then eventually reaching a stage where you see that, okay, now I'm able to sell. Now, there are certain points about these that people, especially for founders, that all of these steps, if you think of it, you cannot throw people at it to say that, okay, I have found these interns or these first sales guys, and they should go do that this year themselves. It is for the founders to get on feet, talk to their prospective customers, and do these all themselves. And this is a very specific point, which if you have been following Y Combinator, and they propagate very clearly that do not do I mean, things at scale primarily, and that's one of the suggestive reading I've also I'll share at the end, because this is a time when you are trying to find your early customers and you're not thinking of scaling as such. This is a time you do all the grunt work individually, go to people, take notes, iterate your product, go back, take notes, iterate your product, go back, take notes, and eventually you'll reach a stage where you can sell. But all of it, unless you do it yourself, you will not know whether what you're building is valuable, whether people are ready to, even if there is a pain point which you are solving for, because unless you do it yourself, you don't know how it works. And I'll give you just one simple example from my life here. At Practo, while I was building, I remember every year I used to get a new problem statement, and my manager would always say, Ajay, why do you have to do it yourself first before building the team? And I was like, you might be wrong, but I feel that if I do it myself, I'll know all the nuances of it. As simple and as complex these could be, but once I know, then I can build any team. I know nobody's bluffing. I know how it works. I know what can be scaled and how it can be scaled, whether it is scalable or not scalable, whether I'll be able to run it forever without me being there, just with some SOPs. And that's the beauty of it. If you do it yourself initially, and you hit a stage where you think, okay, I now have decent understanding of how it works, and then you scale, then you throw people and money at it, right? So it's just very basics is what I would talk about, but think over it. There are no jargons here. They're just plain sell, ideate. I mean, uh, create that prototype, take the feedback, refine and iterate. That's basic rule. So I'll move on from here. I'm hoping if you have questions, you will put it here, which I don't see much right now, but any which ways. So we'll move on to the next slide, which is strategies. Strategies, as we are going to talk about, is primarily uh, how to sell to early customers, and I'll talk about both what to do, what not to do. These definitely varies from B2B to B2C to D2C to B2G to different sectors, different cities where your customers are, to different countries, to even different age groups, to demographics. I mean, there are nuances to it, but I'll cover basics of which some of these which might work for you, some of these which might not work, and we'll eventually go through a case study. Quick time check. We are kind of on time. I think I'll take another 15-20 minutes to cover my points, and then we'll jump to Q&A. So strategies. Let's see if someone has anything to add, what kind of strategies you would want to deploy in the early stages of your startup journey to sell to first few customers. So over to chat if someone wants to share some strategies. We're talking about free trials, okay? Lekha says free trials. We'll quickly just see sample and POC, okay? Ranjini says sample POC, referral methods, okay? Pick up the phone and call, okay? I like that. Is physical exhibition good idea? Advertisement, first get the low-hanging fruits. Okay, lots of jargons coming here. Anyone else want to say something? How to close paid POC faster? Okay, QA, Kalyani, please put question in Q&A so that we can cover at the end. Talk to your customer, good, okay. Digital marketing, WhatsApp groups and communities, referrals and family event, pop-ups, free trials, offers, content sharing, exhibition, potential, talk to potential customer, make people buy at the correct price, influencers, prototype, as one of this is one area, and okay, study competitors, social media marketing, do a trunk show, collaborate, partner, emotionally blackmail ads, visibility on, okay, so pay if you like it. Okay, so some of the points we'll cover here, some are not in the strategies as we will discuss here. But the first thing we need to understand, we're talking about first few customers. And I think while I'm talking now, I should have done the what not to do first and then to do first. But any which ways, we'll Yeah. So the last point which I'm reading right now is Devyani says you can also tell us what not to do, what will work against, and yeah, we'll cover that as well. So okay, over to here. The first thing is personal network. Now, as an individual, as a group of founders, what we have built always, or what automatically has been built, is your personal network. Now, this could be your friends from school, college, your friends or colleagues at office, you have a hobby, you go play some sport, people from there. It could be some social activity dudes, people from there. It could be some community you're part of, be it your I would not take religious community here for now, but any kind of community, to the extent of even, your apartment, your friend circle, to even WhatsApp groups, as someone mentioned here, right? And these days, though, when we were starting or when we were building Practo, initial days, the ecosystem was different. But these days, it could be some incubators, some VCs. I'm sure when I look at a lot of new people, early, even third, fourth year student in colleges, they have already interned at some VC or some startup, and a lot of it, right? So you already have some network there. So it is very important. And as I was mentioning, school, college, alumni, work, apartment, friends, family, hobbies, sports, events, community. I mean, you name it, wherever you think. And I'll tell you, I've been talking to a lot of founders lately, through NSRCEL like platform. Few founders I work directly with, or with some VCs, portfolio companies, to a lot of evaluations where I sit for cohorts, for grant reviews, to even just validating some ideas and POCs. Few of them say that, oh, my friends still don't know I'm building this. Few of them say, oh, I have never told my family members, I've never told in any WhatsApp group or anywhere what I'm building. And I only tell them, if you don't share, how will they know what you're building and how they can eventually connect to the right folks? I mean, uh, I see people when they talk about it, and now today, some founders, when I see something relevant on some group, some mail, some LinkedIn, I just forward it to them because I know they are building in a particular area, solving a particular problem. There might be some event happening which they should attend. So the first thing first is personal network, and believe me, it is going to help a lot. You need not push it too much, but as long as you have told, you announce to an extent, okay, I'm building this, and even to the extent that, okay, I might need help with these and these, there are people who will help you. And as much as you can think that, okay, people would be selfish, why would they do it? But there are still good people in the world. I learned this personal network with that. Moving on, the second point is word of mouth and primarily product-led growth. Now, when you're building a first product, and this is where I tell people, you should be attending some events, not a lot of it. You should be part of some WhatsApp groups and communities. And as you talk to these few first potential customers, uh, and then when they like your product, they will anyway propagate. But as you, uh, I mean, are part of some communities, and then talk to people there, or listen to people how what they're talking there, and understand that there are pain points these people are facing, and I might have a solution for them. Or even if when you are stuck, and then you share that these are the problems I have, they you get answers to it, and then they also dig more, or they get to know what you're working on. And that's where this word of mouth works a lot. So if done right, obviously this is the biggest strategy. I mean, in some cases, this flips before personal network, beyond a point in time. It gets better as the product gets better, because eventually the product is the point where should be the only strategy eventually, right? Because to the extent of, there are very good products in the market, we know now. Initially, whatever ways they started selling, but now the products sells for itself, right? So that is where word of mouth is the reason. It can be the first for certain businesses, certain uh, sectors, even better than personal network, right? Moving on, social media. Now, social media, there's a take it as a with a pinch of salt. We're not talking about paid marketing yet. We're not talking about Facebook ads or Google ads or Insta ads for that matter. We're talking about primarily the free social media, and a lot of people, especially founders, and then on a counterpoint, VCs say you should be a bit online on social media, depending on if your audience lies there. If not, then there's no point. So if you're building for B2B and you don't have audience there, this point doesn't apply to you primarily. You can still get some brand visibility to your non-customers, but that's it, right? They are not going to pay for it. And we're talking about social media of all kind of social medias where you can have you can talk about your product. You can even take the opportunity for different occasions while they are happening, in terms of whether it is religious or political, to the extent of, the best example I can give is Amul. If you have seen their ads or their banners around every important event when they happen, and they go viral. So primarily, if you do it right, it can just give you free boost to your product, right? So this is not for B2B any which way. And the fourth and foremost here is direct outreach. Now, direct outreach, so this strategy works best for B2B. This might not work initially for B2C, but that depends. If you are going to your friends, family members, uh, colleagues, and people you know directly, that is fine. But beyond a point, B2C or D2C, direct outreach is difficult. But this is the strategy for B2B. You'll have to put some time regularly on this. It works. It is slow, but it works. And the the point here, as I'm talking about primarily B2B, is to understand. So these involves, cold calling to mails, which generally don't get read, and all these ways to reach out to your prospective customers, right? Now, what mistake people generally do here is they don't create a funnel, right? If you say I'll reach out to 1,000 people and then through mail, and then the open rate is somewhere 10%, which makes it 100 people. Now, whether from there you get a demo or a meeting is another 50%. So from 100, it goes down to 50 people now. And then from 50 people, if the conversion rate is 1%, you don't have a customer, right? 1% of 50 is just 0.5. But when you work backwards now, and if you say I'll reach out to 2,000 people and then apply the same formula, then eventually you get one customer out of it. So if you do the funneling right, and obviously these numbers are not, these are just for sample here. But as you keep on doing these step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and then eventually sell the product and work backwards to see that if I could reach X number of people and then I got Y customers, how do I increase this? Primarily through direct outreach, right? And that's what people try to perfect over the period of time, and try to increase these step by step in a funnel, how to increase that percentage over each step. And slowly as you grow, and if there are people who are into scale now, would have seen a lot of A/B tests on different products to see what is working, what is not working. How do I increase this percentage funnel after funnel, right? I step after step. So primarily these four strategies, I would say first two works for both B2B, B2C, and third and fourth is just one each for them, right? Primarily. So I'll take a pause and see. So there are a few questions, but I think we'll do Q&A at the end, and we'll be able to cover, so we'll have enough time. Okay. So we'll move quickly to doesn't work, what doesn't work, and I'll cover this quickly in the interest of time. I did hear a few people saying content, influencer, paid marketing, and a lot of points, and I'll just quickly first show these and then cover it so that you know what we are going to talk about. SEO, SEO doesn't work in the early stages. It is good but slow. It takes months and years to get it right. Content strategy is same as SEO. We have done these. I think more or less influencer marketing was not there for us at Practo in the early years. Even launch sites were not so prominent, though they came in between, but rest all we have tried, right? SEO and content marketing is not for you. Don't, I mean, if you're looking at long term, do it after you have cracked your PMF, not before it. Search engine marketing, if you have money, obviously you can burn it, but there's very low ROI. Do it if you know what you're doing. Influencer and creator marketing is not for you primarily, unless some of those people have invested in your startup and they want to do it, because then you don't keep on paying to them. But for an early stage startup, it doesn't make sense. Once you have some trust, then it makes sense. Press release, in some cases it works, but eventually and press release has a different connotation here. It is not primarily going out loud in public or TV or newspaper ads as such. It is finding those ways to make your product go viral, in whether through WhatsApp, through some media. That's what press release I mean here. And you got to be lucky for it to work for you. Launch sites, I've seen some startups do it these days a lot, but if your target audience is there, then works. Otherwise, it's a wastage of time. And strategic partnerships, in the early days, it is difficult because you don't have much brand or credibility to pull it off, right? So we'll quickly move on. I'll take a case study, a quick case study on and run these through. I've not taken any name, but people can guess here. So it's a tech startup, and there were two primarily products initially: B2B clinic management software, and then doctor discovery platform. Later on, medicine delivery and a lot of other surgery, other products, including surgery, came into play. So let's look at this now. So if you look at B2B clinic management software and B2C and doctor discovery. Now, if I go back here quickly, and or just think of these, right? So if I'm building clinic management software, obviously this doesn't make sense because these doctors are not looking for searching for these online. If I do search engine marketing, if my doctors are on those platforms where I'm doing these paid marketing, then it might work. But again, if they're not even looking at your ads, then there's no point. Influencer creator marketing is not for them, because as much as we understand these, whether your customers are actually looking at these or consuming content from these or not, right? I'll go to strategic partnership here at the end here to understand whether you can pull off some partnerships with either doctors or clinics or hospitals. Would be difficult, as I mentioned earlier. Now, if you go back here to what works, if you have doctors in your personal network, be it your even batchmates, be it your uncle in some city, or people in your apartment, or your family doctor, to people like that, you could reach out to them to understand. Or if you have someone working in a startup who have already built this product but shut down the product or still building it, to understand that, right? If you are able to find them, then you will be able to interview them and then find out whether they would want to use the product. The second is, obviously, if you get these doctors, then they will talk about it, or you will have to find ways for them to talk. I'll give example from Practo, right? The early days when we were building, and I'm talking about 2011. Practo started in 2008. I joined in 11, and there's a time we were building this B2B product. And we were here in Bangalore, in JP Nagar. The founders and few people would go to these doctors in the area, show them what we have built, come back by afternoon or evening, and then tell us what the doctor needs. And we'll code till whatever 2, 3 in the night. And the first thing in the morning, they again have the iterated version of the product ready. They would go to the doctor, show them again, doctor, would you want to pay for this? They will give more feedback. When they come back, we'll code that again for another 7 years in the evening and night. And that cycle repeats till the first doctor says, oh yes, now I have something I can pay you for. But next month, I'll pay you only when you have these features also available. And that cycle continues. You go to second doctor, you go to third. over the period of time, we realized that, okay, dentists are the people who use these tools most because they want a dental chart to apply to, I mean, what services they are doing to each teeth. And it's cumbersome on a paper than a tool. And we ended up selling to a lot of dentists initially, and then move on to another segment of doctors. But that's how we found a B2B play for that product. Now, eventually, we launched the doctor discovery platform. Now, if I go to that, whether my personal network will help, yes, because these friends, family members, relatives, everyone I know in the world is a customer now. Even to the extent you yourself is a customer, right? So everything you are thinking, you run through them to understand what would work, what would not work, what would work for a head of family to what would work for a child in the family, to a mother in the family, to a grandmother in the family, right? And then it was easy to figure out what you should build, because if I think of it, a head of the family or earning member would book an appointment and not a wife. These days it is fine, but not a mother or not a kid. To the extent of whether you can give them a family account and one person can manage all with data privacy and all of it. So that is where it is important to understand who is your customer, how do you reach out to them, how do you talk to them and understand what they need, and eventually go ahead with your product launch. Now, once these two products were ready for us and we were out in the market, at some point in time, we launched, say, medicine delivery as a service. Now, because at this point we have some brand recognition and people know us, though we are launching a new product. Now, this is a difference in this case, that you want to sell this new product also to the first few customers. And that iteration of creating a new product every few years is always there in a lot of startup world life. And now you can do all of these in some way, right? You would have built some SEO strategy by now. Your content might be working. You might have already been doing some paid marketing. You can rope in an influencer, and I can give an example. When we launched surgery as a business, we onboarded Rahul Dravid, the coach, Indian coach at that point in time. I mean, as recently as 2 years back, for our brand ambassador, and it worked, right? We could very well take Rahul's legacy as the dependable, and then use that in the surgery business, right? So some of these you could do product press release, you could do strategic partnerships, but all of these, when we had I mean, stronghold in the market, already some SEO and content strategy in play, you have enough to spend on marketing spends and all of those, right? So it makes a difference when you apply these strategies, in some cases early on, in some cases later, depends on which stage of the startup you are at. But try to avoid these is what I would say when you are very early stage. Burn only when you know, I mean, where you are putting money and what is the ROI on it. So I'll stop here to quickly cover some mistakes founders do not, and what they do not do: meet people. They build in silos. They don't just share their idea that someone can steal and build on top of it. They don't discuss in open. They don't leverage the network. I know a lot of people who don't go out, meet, talk to people to understand what they're solving for. Are there takers for it? I mean, they can find their early team members to co-founders to investors in these events. Should be building in public, talking to everyone, and then gather feedback. Should go to events, should participate in communities, and talk to family and friends. So if you're not doing any of these, I would not say don't build, but give some time to these. And you will understand that what is happening in the market, how people are looking at things. As I keep on meeting people, founders, investors, operators, a lot of people and especially in Bangalore, I get to understand what people are thinking, what sense they have now. Are they still looking at burning money to, are people okay with the SME IPOs, to the extent of whether ONDC is important now, or where will AI take our lives in terms of job, and who is investing, who is not investing, right? So leverage your network is what the key here, which is right here in the middle, right? Leverage your network. I think I'm coming to end now. What time is it? 5:40, 4:53. Enough of it. Two references. This is where I picked some content for this material. There's an article. This link goes to an article, which is, if I can show, does this show right now? You are sharing screen. Gauri, can you confirm if people are able to see this screen? If you are around, or can someone mention here on chat if you are able to see
Yes,
this article?
we're able to see the screen.
So, I was tempted to pull content from here to talk about in this session as well, but I would suggest you go through this yourself and don't just read through it. It's long one. The font is small, the page is huge, but as you go through each and to the extent of you know recruit your users manually, if you can see now, talk about recruit and I'll stop at it. Please go through it. It's if you just Google do things that don't scale, you'll find YouTube videos also, but go through this article slowly, take every points and understand what they're talking about, and it is very important. I have not taken specifically content from it so that you spend your time on it. Okay, so moving on. Last thing, I think I'll end with some personal advice here, and this applies to everyone, to audience here, to even Gauri, NSRCEL team member, to me. And these are some things which have been propagating for last few weeks, months, or couple of years as well. Parts of it is one, find time. Now, find time for what? To play some sport. If you are a founder, if you are building for the world, should play some sport. Uh, I play badminton regularly and run 10K occasionally, and that keeps me on and on and on. I get tired less. I eat less accordingly. I get enough sleep because I'm tired, and not just by head, because people just use phone, but by body. So you should find time to play sport. It gives you concentration. It gives you uh, uh, it's in itself is a meditation, and it gives you focus, and then it energizes whenever you play. If I do it in the morning, people have their own version to play in morning, evening, night, but do find time to play some sport. Find time to sit for meditation. uh, I mean, there's no one or a good way to do meditation. I would not say how to do it. I generally, when talk to people, say that just find some quiet time, close your eyes and sit. Sit for 2 minutes, sit for 10 minutes, sit for 20 minutes. You want to listen to some music, do. If you just want to listen to some guided meditation, do that, but just find time and sit. Basic meditation and pranayam, I give some time regularly now here as well. And let's make what? Our hands dirty with soil, spend some time with nature, feet wet with water, face time with sun rays. So if you have not seen sun only where it is, especially in Bangalore, and or not dirty your hands with soil, plant some seeds and you will see some of them germinate and ignite our body with cool breeze. Now Bangalore definitely has a lot of cool breeze, but I would ask you, urge you to do this. And a lot of people tell me they don't have time. So last thing, and these I keep on saying now these days a lot, as long as you are breathing, so you have time. Until one day, one morning, one evening would be your last. So I'll end with this. Open to Q&A. It's my LinkedIn handle, and I can stop sharing now. We are almost at 5 and for questions. So over to the NSRCEL team. I'm here. Let's see how should we go about this. There are some questions on Launchpad, with the team has answered. If there are Launchpad specific or NSR specific team questions, I think the team can answer. But I'll just check with the team. How do we go about? We go through each question one by one and then run through, right? Gauri, are you around?
Yes, I am. Um, I'm trying to scroll through some of the questions.
See, we have enough time. I see some questions.
Yes. There are 4 open questions. Maybe you could start taking those one by one. I'll try filtering through the chat questions till then.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Also, just a quick suggestion to all those on call. If you could continue asking your questions on the Q&A slide, it's easier because on the chat, it might just get lost. So if you can use the Q&A section, that would be really helpful. But yeah, Ajay, if you can start from there.
Sure. So first question I'm picking up is from Kalyani, how to close B2B sales in shorter cycle. Uh, First thing for everyone here, there is no shorter cycle for B2B. And especially if you can, Kalyani, if you can add more. So those who are asking questions, please add some context because it's easy. If you are early stage, B2B deals are going to take longer any which way. And again, it depends if you are see I'll take longer. I think we can take 2-3 minutes for each question, right? Let's see. So if you are looking at B2B sales now, if you are right now with going through a network, and I'm right now taking early stage only and not late stage because then it would not make sense here. Is say you are part of like NSRCEL and part of an incubator. Now, a lot of your peers or alumni, when I say alumni, are founders, startups, could be your entry point to talk to them, to tell them what you're building and whether they would want to buy it. And uh, that is where a network effect comes into play. People talk about Y Combinator to Bits Pilani network, to IIM Bangalore network, to a lot of IITs network that we find are early customers in these networks itself. Because if you are building, and the article which I shared, I think they gave example for Stripe. Now, if you have a product which more or less every other startup would need, then go ahead, right? I mean, just to talk to them, and then eventually they will sign up. But otherwise, if you're just leveraging, I mean, just doing cold outreach and then trying to convert, then it's going to take longer. There is no shorter cycle because one, if you solve for their pain points, that is fine. Two, if they are giving you their data into your system, then they would want to look at an infosec audit of your product to understand whether your data is, I mean, their data is even safe in it or not. B2B, especially, the decision maker is different than the user of the product, which is, say, take an example, if you're building for engineers, then engineers are the users, but the decision maker is either the CTO or the CEO or some finance team member. So there's a gap there. The fourth reason is the budget. If the company has a budget to even sanction that much for that product initially or not. So I don't see there's a very shorter cycle as such. In some cases, you might be able to convert faster. In some cases, it might take forever. But and in some cases, you might take less margin to an extent. Okay, I just want this logo on my customer profile. So I don't have exactly specifically to tell you how to close it in shorter cycle. It varies from whom you are targeting. Okay, so moving on to the second one, how much time should we invest? So this is from Lucky Rathod. Invest at least before pivoting from first MVP. See how much time. So the question is primarily to understand if I created my first MVP and then how much time should I invest before I pivot? See, there's no fixed time to say that these number of days, weeks, or months you should invest. it is primarily as you keep on talking to your prospective customers and trying to understand their pain points and then build that product or prototype and then go to them and then keep on iterating. Even after trying out for months, talking to these people and iterating, and if you don't land up saying that uh, there's no takers, then I mean, you will eventually realize that that's it. I should move on. I mean, I should find the other way also people understand when to pivot is when you keep on talking to these people and you take notes and understand that, okay, this is what I'm building, this is what they need, this is what I'm building, this is what they need. And the need varies, and then what you are building, nobody is taking. But there are still a bunch of people who have need one, who has need two, who has need three. Can I pick them because they are related, but not exactly what I'm solving for? And that is where you can invest some time on one of them, wherever you find majority, and then see if you find takers there, and then you move on. Because eventually, either you can just keep on building and not pivot and shut down, or you pivot and then find takers there, and then see if the other reasons are also working, and then keep on iterating to build the product. Please guide. So Chanchal asks, please guide about IT services startup. Okay, IT services startup. Uh, if I may say, you should make friends with founders, investors, or connectors like me, because ultimately you need services. You need people who can give you work to do. Now, if you but also it depends on how much price point you do it, what is your quality of work, do people already know you? So a lot of it matters. But once you get into that network and then you deliver one out product to someone and they like your product, and then if someone asks a similar question in a community, in a WhatsApp group, in an investor portfolio company, then they will refer you because you have delivered a good service. So one thing, in a positive sense, I would say it's deliver the right product at the lowest cost you can manage, and don't bluff, don't cheat and things like those, so that you create your reputation, and then services or projects should keep on flowing. But you got to talk to people, make friends, find these networks where you can, I mean, find those people who can get you projects. For Q&A later, Vinaya says, sorry, the sell idea product iterate becomes confusing when you are working with services and when it is not linear. When we work with services and when it is not linear. See, with services, see, obviously it will not work because you have a mandate, you have a end goal to reach. And for services, you should just look at it as every product as a new product, and can put some brain into it, but beyond a point, you're not going to say that, okay, why are you building it like this and not like that? Because the person who wants to get it done from you would have given you a decent requirement. If not, then you can, I mean, invest some time and energy and build them accordingly as well. But for services, this is not going to be the funda. I would say, whatever is the requirement, dig more on it, get the best version of the requirement and just build and deliver. I mean, nothing more there. Anonymous attendee, when you are building a plateau, okay? Would you engage with direct outreach, cold emails, calls and emails? If yes, what made you reply to them? What made? No, what else would the person reaching out to you do better? Okay, let me understand this question better. While building, we did direct outreach. Isn't the question little weird? If yes, what made you reply to them? This anonymous person, can you ask a question once again? This is a little confusing to understand. Uh, uh, Moving on to the next, I think it's the same person probably. How should we approach our customers? Should it be one-to-one or can we survey through Google Forms? Okay. It varies, but it should be one-to-one. Because as you talk to people, and it again depends obviously if your customer, I mean, difficult to find those people, but if you do one-to-one, you actually understand the pain point well. You talk to them, uh, uh, you get to see what they do and how they, I mean, in a way. So let me take this as an example. Probably that would be a better way to tell you. Say, if I take example of Practo. Now, though we built a B2B software, the first product, our major user was not the doctor, but the receptionist. And if you go sit with the receptionist and then understand how he or she is using, in our case, a lot of it was she, and you realize that, oh, this feature which you have built, which should have made their life easier, is actually hassle for them. So we used to go on customer visits and sit with the receptionist to see what they're doing and understand. And so the more you do these one-on-one, you understand each such customer profile and see how they live their life, how they would use the product, and whether there are similarities in these profiles, and you can then define a persona that this is my persona and I'll build for this. There's another persona. Once I'm okay, done with this, then we'll move to that. Because then you actually understand whom you are building for. And we were blown away whenever we used to go to these receptionists. And to an extent, we ended up creating our own Practo Academy, training these receptionists at some point in time, calling them under one room, one place, and then train them to make them, tech savvy and all. So obviously it makes sense to talk to them one-on-one. If you don't find, I mean, then surveys are fine. But from surveys, if you find some peculiar users, then you should talk to them to that individually. Renuka has some questions. If you have your first 100 customer, how do you reach the next customer? Okay, Gauri, we have topic for next session. So ultimately, if you have 100 customers, and let me read the rest. Also, biases come in with personal network when you are building first building a product, right? So, what beyond 100 customers, right? Is by now you have paying people. Some money is following it. You might not have cracked your customer acquisition cost well. So if you saw, I've not used a lot of any jargons as such, but CAC, LTV, and all of those definitely make a difference here. But the first thing first is, are you able to retain these customers? So if you got your first customers, if say every month you are getting 10 new customers, and but every month 10 are churning out as well, then you have a flat line, right? Uh, so first thing is how to retain them. The second thing is obviously to see now whatever learning you have, can you make SOPs? Can you now find uh, people who can do this job? Because in this first 10 to 100 customers, we are saying that founders should go and then sell themselves. But beyond 100 or beyond a certain number, it cannot be scaled. Now, you should be focusing on scale beyond that because you already have paying customers. So one is retention and two, how to scale. And there are different methodologies to scale. I think if you Google or find some session around it, it would be helpful. It will take an hour to talk just about that. My current challenge in the B2B space is conducting master research with my potential users. If they don't show interest and with even participating for the tech products, do I assume the solution isn't appealing or at all, or is it? Okay, Nilanjana says in terms of not getting responses for the survey, and as much as we love technology and things should be easy, it is a bane for us as well, right? Reasons are simple. You should not look at whether people, I mean, don't have takers because people are not filling the surveys. Just think yourself, if someone is giving you survey, would you fill it? And think in a way whether you have time to do it. Are you getting time to even reply to your mails, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, regular work, family members, to friends, I mean, except for those recreational activities with people pull you in, it's difficult to respond to a lot of things. So if one channel, I would just say, if one channel is not working, doesn't mean that uh, your product doesn't have a potential. It could be that you are targeting a different wrong way to find data for your project. So Think on those lines and you might find something. When it's highly customized service like film production, okay, it's difficult to apply these strategies. Film production, okay, might not be the right person here, Preeti, but I think just talk to NSRCEL team member. We can do one-on-one here. I might be able to share something, but I don't want to just randomly answer anything here. Urvi says your experience with B2B LinkedIn campaigns. If it is about early stage, don't do it. I mean, you can do it to an extent. If you just put, say, oh, I have this much money to invest, I'll do it every week, month, and I think I'll get the required ROI. You can go ahead, but don't get, I mean, swayed away with it. Like if you people in when I take a contrary example to say Insta paid campaigns to Facebook, people would come from that, but then it is very expensive. So as long as you understand how much you're spending and whether you have budget for it, and then you figure out that you should get certain ROI, you should do it, but not otherwise for early stage. Could you please share the slide? This is for Gauri to answer. Uh, any AI software we can use initially? There are a lot of them. Raji, I would not answer one or two here. Whatever problem you have, just Google it and you will find the software around it, is what I would say these days. Rupak have question on, I have some competitions. How does pricing lower? We are very early stage with basic revenue. How do pricing lower? See, first thing, when you say competitions and people have different take on competitions, I would say as much as if you understand your TAM, SAM, SOM, and how much market they have captured and how much you intend to capture, and can you both coexist? Obviously, I mean, in a lot of cases, and is there possibility to for multiple such startups like yours, even 5, 10 in the same market, or a market like India or US, wherever you're targeting, you should just find your niche, what you're building, and then accordingly price. If you take your strategy in comparison to competition, then that's not a very good strategy. I mean, I'll stop it here for your question. Don't build because how your competition is doing or what they are offering as service. Just build what you would want your customer to solve. I mean, their pain point you would want to solve for, and then charge accordingly. Anonymous attendee says, any suggestion for someone who is building a product for TG between, so TG, if people don't know, is target group between 30 to 45 years, adults with kids. Okay, however, being a 25-year-old doesn't have enough access to this age group. Uh, I don't know which city, town you live in, but everyone around you will find these TGs, right? I mean, in terms of these 30 to 45-year-old people, be it your family members, your uncles, aunts, to your relatives, sorry, same thing, to your teachers, your, I don't know, I mean, everyone in your work life, right? If you're 25-year-old, you will have colleagues of these age. So I think I would just say go around and find these people, because these 30 to 45 is a plenty in India with kids, at least for now. I'm not sure what the new generation is going to do. At least people in this age group, a lot of them have at least single kid. Right. So Nilanjana says I'm in a fashion manufacturing space. Okay, wanting to streamline the end-to-end process with our SaaS platform, but brands here are directly in contact with suppliers, so it's tricky to break through that barrier. The okay. See, this is where it becomes tricky, Nilanjana. So the question is around, if I'm building for a fashion manufacturing space, and everything, a lot happens directly, right? From suppliers, brands and suppliers work hand to hand. And how to break this barrier? See, ultimately, if you think that you will start a new, how should I put it? If you think that you will start a new way to do things between these people, then you are wrong. generally tech comes into play when you have a problem area that, okay, this is how I mean, these two parties talk right now. Can I ease that? If you think that you will surpass these and then create a platform where a brand talks to you and then you talk to supplier, they would not, I mean, it would not work like that. So you'll have to either solve for either of them, that they slowly get hooked to you. Otherwise, if you think that you will be able to create a new way to do things, is going to be difficult. Tech is only enabler in a lot of these industries, then creating a new way to do things. So, I mean, that's all I would answer to your question. I'm a jewelry manufacturer and would like to reach out to jewelry retailers in different countries. Mr. P. Mehta, I'm assuming it's a Mr. Not the right person. I'm sorry to answer you this. And I don't have a lot of friends also whom I might have understood this well. So, yeah. Leon, I have a question. In promoting a STEM course, is it good to start with the school admin or go to parents directly? Say, depends on, is it B2B2C or B2C? If you are selling through a school, then you'll have to go through school. Does the parents get access to those courses through school? I mean, that's primarily it is your what is your business, I mean, product around. If parents were to buy directly, then the school doesn't come into picture. So I think if you give more context to it, I might be able to answer this. Shika has a question on, please suggest a framework to build feedback. How to balance questions between what customer jobs we are solving and how to ask what. See, Shika, your question has two parts to it. How to balance questions, and two is the price point. See, the first thing is you should not be thinking about price points initially, but to find ways to get the feedback. And uh, the first strategy there would be to find these kind of your ideal customer profile in a friend, in a family member, in a network guy whom you can spend some time with, and then like dig as much as possible to understand what you should be asking. Even if you are not able to do it, or even if you do this, the moment you talk to a first customer, you will realize while talking, there are a lot of new questions coming in. You just need not put it only in your head, but take a note. So if you go to people or record and go through that again and again, and you will find these questions and you will keep on refining it. And there's a mistake which a lot of us do. We don't either take notes, we don't create or perfect that persona. You don't go back to the recordings or those questions again to see what they told, whether that one line was very important, which I could now work on, and go back to them or realize that after months that, oh yeah, the first person also told this. Why did not I listen then? So I would say you should be first focusing only on feedback and not the price, how much you should be asking them to pay for. Eventually, once you reach a stage where someone says, how can I pay, is when you should be thinking about this, not before. So just gather the feedback, iterate, and build the product where someone is ready to pay. And then you will have to spend time to decide how much, who is ready to pay, how much they can pay you, what is their cost. Can I sell for lesser price today and then charge higher later, or discount or whatever, but not right now. Moving on to okay, as time is passing, I'm seeing the scroller increasing or shortening in a way that the questions are increasing. Let's see. Uh, where was I? Sorry, did some. Okay, Sergeant PV asked, how important is cold calling? How do we create this list? Contact information such as are quite expensive. I need better ways to reach out. Okay. Primarily, I understand this question is on these details being expensive. I don't know if I have some hacks to tell you here, but there are people now who, even if you, I mean, I've seen people, they open my profile, LinkedIn profile, they have bought some plugin which allows them to see my email ID and phone number. To the extent, a lot of these forms in places, I mean, you can tie up with, or you can buy this data any which way directly. There are companies which give subscriptions now, so you can buy certain data points around it. So I would not be potentially the right person would tell you strategies to find these numbers and email IDs at a cheaper rate, Sajan. But yeah, I mean, not the right person, I would say. Anonymous attendee, moving on. I'm afraid shy going for B2B sales. Can you please suggest some tips on starting B2B pitching and even approaching them at first place? Okay. So whoever this anonymous attendee is, I would give my example. I'm a tech guy. I never did sales before. And these days, if you ask me, I'm a solopreneur. So though I don't directly do a sale, but I do find a lot of so-called prospective customer in a way. I step out every other day, go to events, meet people in an event and go to their office and meet them, find founders or investors and just go and meet them. You will hesitate in first few meetings, you will do blunders in first few calls or places when you will, I mean, right from what you are wearing to how you are speaking to how you are, you know, uh, talking in a way, depending on your age and what language you talk to certain people, they were like, okay, this person doesn't know shit. And but as you keep on doing it, you will slowly perfect it. So it is just about stepping out and then doing it. You will slowly get confident. You will, every time you do this, it's okay, you will lose certain customers, but eventually beyond a point, you will know, now I have arrived. I know what to talk, whom to talk to, how to talk to, and then just keep on going. You will improve it every time, is what I would say. If you give time and energy into it. Okay, Sunita says one basic question: if you are on ONDC and Smart Biz, is it okay not to have payment gateway on your website? It is too technical, Sunita, for the ONDC. But I think so. To my limited knowledge, yes, you need not have payment gateway on your website. You can pass on to the payment provider directly, is what I can guess, is what I remember. But I mean, you can find it online, I think, or even talk to a SmartBiz guys, and they should be able to help you. Raji has a question. I'm a B2B segment and in a unique segment of biophilic products which has patent and green. Okay, need to read this once again. Biophilic products which has patent and green pro certification. Will having a brand identity help sell as much as many still don't see nature as a must have? What other matters? Branding, social media will take time and money. It is very specific question in terms of when you are building in a unique segment. So I'll try to answer it in a different way. See if you find any parallel. When you build, say, B2B product for enterprise, and what matters is, say, in that case, security. So all these startups in the early days start getting, say, ISO certified, ISO 27001, which is around data privacy. There are others on, say, PCI DSS, on credit card and those payment gateways. And it's primarily to say out loud that we have secured everything in our place. Later. To an extent, as much as you can, I mean, not as much, I would say, but to the extent, if you do exhibitions, if you are able to tie up with these hyperlocal delivery companies, give some products free, I mean, samples free, to extent of doing certain partnerships where you buy A, then you get a smaller version of B free, to an extent of creating your brand recognition, to the extent of telling your product exists, is obviously going to work. And you can even run, good campaigns in a way which raise customer interest, and within a limited budget as well, you can award people of top five, whatever ways. I mean, I'm just giving a random example here, but you could do even exhibitions or some campaigns where you pull in a lot of people and then still award a few and within your budget. So uh, you will got to have to do a lot of hacks to find these early few customers. And I'm sure you understand that D2C or e-commerce and all these are cash heavy startups. Akash, okay. I want to meet you. Is it possible? I'm staying nearby actually in NSRCEL for our startup. It won't take more than 10 minutes. Akash, you'll have to reach out to NSRCEL team. And yeah, I would be happy to talk to you. Anugrah has a question of how would you suggest what would you suggest to the online ad tech startups who are only focusing education through Zoom meetings because there is no innovation in it? Uh, Anugrah, if you are asking for your startup or generally, I mean, uh, I would not belittle the effort they have put in. We do understand in the times of COVID, these tech startups boomed because there was a need to the extent of any kind of services we needed and they were working. Otherwise, we would have seen a lot of thousands or lakhs or crores of students not able to get any education for that matter because parents or anyone at that home didn't have time any which way. Other than I remember playing Ludo and other stuff, but uh, with time things might seem very simple and not innovative, but ask us how we used to study in our days when there was no internet, no phone, and no way to talk to someone. The only reason or option was to go to a library or to a teacher and then dig and then even get scolded about and a lot of things. So I would rest my answer there. Shika Gupta has a question on we are venturing upcycling agro-textile waste into green pots. Okay, can beta testing style subscription model be applied for custom consumer durables from first MVP? Beta testing style subscription model. Okay, Shikha, I would instead of just giving any answer, I would just say get in touch with the NSRCEL team. They might be able to find you the right person who can answer this question, or otherwise we can talk also to dig more to understand what you are looking for, because I have limited understanding of the sector and I don't want to just tell you something. Chitra is a health tech founder building an integrated care delivery platform. Can I use white labeling for getting new customers? Yeah, so Chitra, it depends on obviously your budget, your perseverance to see whether these white label products will sell or not. Can you pull off the brand? Can you get the right brand recognition to the extent of even get the brand ambassadors to sell these products, still make margin with quality product and keep on doing it. So a lot of factors around it. If you are able to pull it off, then definitely yes. How do we find a co-founder? Nilekha, it is one of the most difficult question a lot of people ask for. There's no right answer to it. There is no one way to do it. Uh, what I have heard, listened to people, and then felt is if you know someone from years and then find that person willing to work with you, then that is the best person to go ahead with. And the reason is very simple. Or I mean, even if you know someone for last few years and then or few months and then few months is a little difficult. But the reason why people propagate that is that you know the person's good and bad. You know when a person will hit his or her low and still come back the next day. You will know whether you had an argument and was that temporary or that spoiled your relationship because you know the person well. But if you just work with a new person, then a lot of equations doesn't match, and that is where initially a lot of time just goes into this part of it, that what is the other person thinking, whether we are on the same page, whether this person has now, I mean, created an image for you, and then this particular thing is not going to go away. So difficult to answer this question, but someone from past, that's the right way to work ahead with. We are
Um,
24.
Ajay, sorry to interject. We're at 5:30, so maybe you can take one last, maybe small question, and then we can wrap up.
Okay, let me see. There are a few. Okay, Bhargava, we built our startup to solve the need for tier 3 and below customer students, but we are not getting customers. People are suggesting us for some tier 1 students for some time to make money to sustain and later make money. Bhargava, it's a difficult question to answer the right away. Ultimately, if you find your ICP in tier 3 students, and whether you can sell it to them is where the problem is. If they don't have money to pay you right away, even if you make some money from tier 1, it is going to be difficult for you to convince to tier 3 students. So you'll have to focus more on the strategy, what you are trying to do, and are these tier 3 even your customer? Because if they don't have paying capacity, whether now or later, it's not going to work. And just pick one or two more questions quickly and then wind up. Any advice, cold emails? Let me, there are 5, 6 left. I'll pick one or two from here. We are at an initial stage, providing service, not product. Can we go ahead with inclusion of AI tools and high-end technology? See, as long as you are able to do justice to the requirement and give the right output in terms of whatever the deliverables, you can use any kind of tool. Should the tech founders engage in activities such as market research? Tech founders should get engaged in all kind of activities, whether it is market research, sales, marketing. This we are talking about early stage. Late stage, it depends whether they have time or not, but early stage, you should be getting into all of these. Okay, so for the resources, if you just Google this itself, how to get your first 100 customers, you'll land up on those two immediately on Google or YouTube. Uh, uh, and if you just want to understand, just go through top 5 and you will know. I mean, what I spoke about, what you should be doing. So don't just specifically go through any URL. I think just Google the title. How to get students in video or YouTube. To get students working for our customers to, okay. LLM prompts, I'll not take that question. Sorry, I don't have any idea on import export. Okay, this question is important. Let's see, I'm a paying customer and a non-paying customer in my business B2B service for, no, this is not for me, sorry. So in a way, Shobha, you'll have to find, so let me take an example of Duolingo. Now, Duolingo business model, if you have studied, they have paying customers like us who can afford to pay for the service to not see ads, but they sell, or the major portion of the users are people who cannot afford to buy or take the service from, say, remote areas to Africa to marginalized kids, and they fund from one and then serve the other. So if you find answer in that, would work. I think one last question. Renuka has a question. When you built Practo, how easy was it, difficult it was to convince doctors to use it? So I'll take that last question and then pause. Be it Practo or any product, it is always difficult. And convincing doctors is going to be very, very difficult. And especially in the years like these now, when we started, it was 2008, 9, 10, 11, those days. Technology was not so much there. The online payment systems, to the extent of people using internet to, I mean, think of it pre-Geo, pre-WhatsApp, pre-Instagram, right? And difficult to convince doctors, especially because one, they don't have time. Doctors were busy earlier, doctors are busy today as well. And two, not everyone is tech savvy, so it's very difficult. To the extent they said, oh, we have these iPhone now, these iPads, and can you build for it? And we ended up building for that as well. So it is about any business, it is difficult to convince your customers. Yeah. So I think with that, we'll end the Q&A. Just few parting words. Building a startup is very important, obviously. If you think you can do it, don't stop. Uh, you will have your hard times, your good times, your bad times. You will have lots and lots of fights with everyone around, to the extent of, uh, someone talked about mental health as well. And that's where I advise you to give some time. And as long as you are alive, you have time. Just remember that. To play some sports, go out for a walk, talk to people, meet, laugh, watch something. Don't waste time on things. Give due time to whatever is required. That will make you happy. That will keep you engaged. That will keep you, move away a little bit from work and then still be able to focus. But that will allow you to go back to work regularly, being healthy and energetic, and not just being dragged into work only. That's where I will stop. I would not give gyan on at the end on how to sell. As long as you are doing this, you'll be able to sell well. With that, I'll end the session. It was good talking to you. I enjoyed at least answering the Q&A part. I hope you learned something here, even if you learned one thing. And I'm more than happy to talk to people. Do reach out to me. Uh, and I would say happy National Startup Day. And January is a good month. We just ended with Makar Sankranti yesterday. So Republic Day is around the time. There's few religious activities in the country. We're going for election this year, and yeah, do apply to NSRCEL if you are trying to incubate the launchpad program. See you next time. As long as we are here. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Ajay. Thank you everyone for engaging, participating, interacting. We will keep sending more updates on future sessions. Please follow us on social media. And yeah, looking forward for a lot more Launchpad applications post this. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you everyone for giving your time and listening to me non-stop. Thank you so much. Bye bye.